Captain Jake Morrison stared at the endless darkness beyond his viewport. The patrol ship hummed quietly as it drifted along the invisible line that marked the edge of human territory. For 75 years, this boundary had kept humanity safe. At least that was what everyone believed. Jake had been stationed at the solar system's edge for 3 years now. His job was simple: watch for threats, keep Earth safe, follow orders. Most days were boring. The occasional asteroid needed redirecting. Sometimes a comet wandered too close. But real threats? Those were rare. The control panel beeped. Jake straightened in his seat. A small ship had appeared on his sensors. It was moving fast, heading straight toward Earth. Unidentified vessel, this is Earth Defense Force Patrol Ship Dakota. You are entering protected space. State your identity and purpose. No response came. The ship continued forward. Jake frowned. This was unusual. Most aliens knew about Earth's protected status. The Galactic Council had made it very clear. Earth was off limits. Humans were a protected species, kept safe from the dangers of the wider galaxy. Jake opened a channel to his commanding officer. "Sir, we have an unauthorized vessel approaching." No response to hails. "Council patrol is en route," the commander replied. "Hold position and observe." Jake watched the small ship carefully. It was damaged. Scorch marks covered its hull. Someone had been shooting at it. The ship wobbled as it flew, struggling to maintain course. "Unidentified vessel, your ship appears damaged. Do you require assistance?" This time a weak voice crackled through the speakers. "Please. Must reach Earth, they need." "To know." The voice cut off. Jake's sensors showed the ship losing power. It was going to crash into one of Saturn's moons if he didn't do something. "Dakota to command, the vessel is in distress. Requesting permission to provide emergency assistance." "Negative, Dakota. Council ships will handle this." "Maintain distance," Jake gritted his teeth. He had joined the Defense Force to protect people, not watch them die. But orders were orders. He watched helplessly as the small ship tumbled through space. Then everything changed. 3 Council warships appeared from nowhere. They were massive, covered in weapons. Their guns fired immediately. Bright energy beams struck the small ship, tearing through what little hull remained. "Stop!" Jake shouted into the comms. "The ship is disabled." "It's not a threat." The Council ships ignored him. They kept firing until the small vessel exploded in a brief flash of light. Jake felt sick. That had been someone's life. Someone who was asking for help. A message appeared on his screen. It was from the Council ships. "Earth Patrol Vessel, maintain position. We will handle debris recovery. This incident is classified under Council security protocols." Jake didn't respond. He was too angry. Too confused. The Council was supposed to protect peaceful species. Why had they destroyed a damaged ship without even trying to communicate? One of the Council ships moved toward the wreckage. Jake watched them use tractor beams to pull in the larger pieces. They were being thorough, collecting everything. Almost like they didn't want anyone to find something. That thought made Jake nervous. He adjusted his sensors, scanning the debris field more carefully. Most pieces were too small to matter. But there, floating away from the main wreckage, was something different. A small pod, the kind used for emergency escapes. Jake made a decision. He fired his maneuvering thrusters, moving the Dakota closer to the pod. The Council ships were busy with the larger debris. Maybe they wouldn't notice one small patrol ship picking up one small piece of wreckage. His ship's mechanical arm reached out and grabbed the pod. Jake pulled it into his cargo bay quickly. His heart pounded. He was disobeying Council orders. That could mean serious trouble. But something about this whole situation felt wrong. "Dakota, what is your status?" The Council ship's voice was sharp, suspicious. "Just avoiding debris, sir," Jake replied, trying to sound calm. "Returning to patrol route now. Maintain distance from the wreckage. This is a Council matter." "Understood." Jake turned his ship away, heading back toward his patrol route. He waited until the Council ships had jumped away before he went to check the cargo bay. The pod was small, barely big enough for one person. It was cold. Whatever had been inside was probably dead. He opened the pod carefully. Inside was an alien, unlike any species Jake had seen before. Its skin was blue-gray and it had 4 arms. There was a hole in its chest where a Council weapon had hit it. The alien was definitely dead. Jake felt sad looking at it. This person had been running from something, trying to reach Earth, trying to warn them about something, and the Council had killed them for it. As Jake examined the body, he noticed something odd. One of the alien's hands was clenched tight around something. Jake carefully opened the hand and found a small data chip. It was still intact. He looked at the chip for a long moment. This was what the alien had been protecting. This was important enough to die for. Jake slipped the chip into his pocket. Whatever was on it, the Council didn't want Earth to see it. The alien's eyes were still open, staring at nothing. Jake closed them gently. "I'll make sure someone hears your message," he promised. He returned to the cockpit and set course for Earth. His shift was ending anyway. No one would question him heading home. But as he flew, Jake couldn't stop thinking about what he'd seen. The Council's quick violence, their thorough cleanup, their insistence that this was classified. For 75 years, humanity had trusted the Council. They said Earth needed protection. They said the galaxy was dangerous. They said humans weren't ready for what was out there. Everyone had believed them. The alternative was too scary to consider. What if the Council was lying? Jake pulled the data chip from his pocket and looked at it. It was encrypted, marked with symbols he didn't recognize. He would need help reading it. He knew just the person to ask. Dr. Lisa Grant worked at the Xenohistory Research Facility. She was smart, and more importantly, she asked questions that made other people uncomfortable. As Earth grew larger in his viewport, Jake made his decision. He was going to find out what was on this chip. He was going to learn why that alien had died trying to reach humanity, and if the Council was hiding something, he was going to expose it. The patrol ship Dakota entered Earth's atmosphere, carrying a secret that would change everything. Jake didn't know it yet, but his simple act of curiosity had just started a revolution. Sometimes the most dangerous question anyone can ask is the simplest one. Who are you really protecting us from? Dr. Lisa Grant's office was cluttered with old books and alien artifacts. She looked up when Jake knocked on her door, pushing her glasses up her nose. Lisa had been studying alien cultures for 15 years, and she loved puzzles. The expression on Jake's face told her he had brought her an interesting one. "I need your help with something," Jake said, closing the door behind him. "Something that might be dangerous to know about." Lisa leaned forward, interested. "Those are my favorite kind of problems." Jake placed the data chip on her desk. "I got this from an alien who was killed trying to reach Earth. The Council destroyed their ship and tried to cover it up. Whatever is on this chip, they don't want us to see it." Lisa picked up the chip carefully, examining it under her desk lamp. "This is Karathi technology. They're one of the protected species like us. Their whole civilization is quarantined in their home system." She looked at Jake seriously. "Where did you really get this?" Jake told her everything. The damaged ship. The Council's immediate violence. The alien's last words. Lisa listened without interrupting, her expression growing more troubled with each detail. "I'll decrypt it," she said finally. "But Jake, if the Council finds out you have this, they could do more than end your career." "They could end you. I know. But that alien died trying to get this information to Earth. We owe it to them to at least look." Lisa nodded and connected the chip to her computer. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she worked through the encryption. "The Karathi use quantum encryption. It's very sophisticated. This is going to take a few hours." Jake settled into a chair to wait. He watched Lisa work, admiring her focus. She had always been like this, completely absorbed when something caught her interest. It was why she was so good at her job, and also why she had so few friends. "Got it," Lisa said suddenly. Files began appearing on her screen. "Oh my God. Jake, look at this." The first file was a video. It showed a meeting room filled with aliens of different species. Jake recognized some of them from Council broadcasts. These were Council members, the leaders who supposedly protected the galaxy's peace. But the humans in the video were what caught Jake's attention. Two people sat at a table surrounded by arguing aliens. The man was older, with gray hair and tired eyes. The woman was younger, maybe 30, with dark skin and an intense expression. According to the file timestamp, this video was 75 years old. "That must be from First Contact," Lisa whispered. "But I've never seen this footage before." The official records show something completely different. They watched as the two humans listened to the arguing aliens. The aliens seemed to be fighting about something important, their voices getting louder and more aggressive. Then the human woman raised her hand. Somehow, without shouting, she got everyone's attention. She spoke calmly, asking questions. Simple questions about what each side wanted, what they feared, why they were really angry. The aliens answered her, at first reluctantly, then more openly. The human man took notes, occasionally adding his own observations. Jake and Lisa watched in amazement as the two humans slowly helped the aliens understand each other. Old grievances were explained. Misunderstandings were cleared up. After 2 hours of careful conversation, the aliens who had been ready to fight were shaking hands instead. "This is incredible," Lisa said. "Do you know what this means?" Those two aliens had been at war for over 1,000 years. Our history books say the Council negotiated their peace. But it wasn't the Council. It was humans. It was us, the video continued. More meetings followed. The two humans, identified in the files as Captain Henry Blake and diplomat Karen Wells, met with different alien groups. Each time they did the same thing. They listened. They asked questions. They helped people understand each other. But then the video showed something else. A private council meeting recorded secretly. The council members were talking about the humans and they looked worried. "They decoded our psychological patterns in 6 weeks," one alien said, its tentacles waving nervously. "They can predict our behavior, understand our motivations. They see through our political games like children reading a simple book." "The Terrans are dangerous," another council member added, "not because they're aggressive, but because they're too perceptive. They could dismantle our entire power structure just by asking the right questions." A third alien, one Jake recognized as the council chairman from 75 years ago, spoke firmly. "We must contain them. Quarantine Earth immediately. Tell them it's for their protection. Tell them the galaxy is too dangerous for young species. They must never be allowed to interact freely with other races." "What if they resist?" someone asked. "Then we destroy them," the chairman said coldly. "But first we try containment. Humans are too valuable to waste. Their ability to understand and manipulate social dynamics could be useful, as long as we control them." The video ended. Jake and Lisa sat in silence, staring at the blank screen. Everything they had been told about Earth's protection was a lie. The Council hadn't quarantined humanity to keep them safe. They had done it to keep themselves in power. "There's more," Lisa said quietly, opening other files. "Look at this. Lists of other protected species. Dozens of them." Jake read through the files. Each species had been quarantined for different reasons. The Velnar were isolated because their philosophical ideas promoted individual freedom over government control. The Silvari had developed technology that could detect Council surveillance systems. The Karathi had created economic models that didn't require Council trade networks. Every species that threatened Council power in any way was labeled as needing protection and locked in their home system. It was a prison disguised as safety. "We have to tell someone," Jake said. "Who?" Lisa asked. "Earth's government is comfortable with the current arrangement. The Council provides technology, medicine, protection from external threats. Our leaders won't want to rock the boat. Then we tell everyone. We broadcast this to the whole planet." Lisa shook her head. "The Council monitors all our communications. They would shut us down before we got through the first minute. We need help. We need allies." Jake's communication device beeped. He looked at the message and felt his blood run cold. It was from his commander. "Report to headquarters immediately. Council Ambassador Velkoth has filed a complaint about your actions during today's patrol. Bring all evidence and recordings from the incident." "They know," Jake said. "They know I took something from that ship." Lisa quickly copied all the files from the chip to a hidden drive. "Go to the meeting. Act normal. Deny everything. I'll keep working on this and try to find people we can trust." Jake stood up, his mind racing. "Be careful, Lisa. If they suspect you know anything, you're in danger too." "I'm always careful," Lisa said with a slight smile. "Now go, and Jake, don't bring that chip with you. In fact, give it to me. I'll hide it somewhere the Council will never think to look." Jake handed her the chip and left the office. As he walked toward headquarters, he thought about Captain Henry Blake and Karen Wells. They had tried to help the galaxy 75 years ago. The Council had locked humanity away for it. But maybe, just maybe, it was time for Earth to try again. This time, though, humans would ask the one question the Council feared most. Who are you really protecting us from? Jake's meeting with Council Ambassador Velkoth had not gone well. The tall alien had questioned him for 3 hours about the destroyed ship, the debris field, and what Jake might have recovered. Jake had lied convincingly, saying he had only scanned the wreckage from a distance. But Velkoth's eyes had been suspicious, and Jake knew the Council would be watching him closely now. 3 days later, Jake received a message that changed everything. It came through an encrypted channel he didn't even know existed on his personal device. The message was simple. We know what you found. We've been investigating for years. If you want the truth, come to these coordinates. Come alone. Bring Dr. Grant if you trust her. You have one chance. Jake showed the message to Lisa. They debated for hours whether it was a trap. Finally, they decided the risk was worth it. If there were others who questioned the council's story, they needed to find them. Getting a ship was easier than Jake expected. Lisa had a friend named Amy Chen, who piloted cargo vessels between Earth and the outer planets. Amy had been complaining for years about council restrictions on human trade routes. When Lisa explained what they had discovered, Amy immediately volunteered her ship and her skills. I always knew something was wrong, Amy said as they prepared to launch. The council says they're protecting us, but from what? In 75 years, has anyone ever actually attacked Earth? Have we ever seen these supposed threats they're guarding us from? They brought one more person. Greg Taylor was a security officer who had served with Jake in the Defense Force. Greg was loyal, smart, and good in a fight. More importantly, he had been asking uncomfortable questions about the council for years. His career had suffered because of it. The four of them took Amy's cargo ship, the Wanderer, and headed toward the coordinates. The location was beyond Neptune, in the empty space between stars where no one had any reason to go. As they flew past the patrol zones, Jake kept expecting council ships to intercept them. But none came. Either the council hadn't noticed their departure or someone was helping them stay hidden. I'm picking up a structure, Amy said as they approached the coordinates. It's big. Some kind of space station. The station appeared on their screens. It was old, built from mismatched parts of different alien technologies. Ships of various designs were docked along its sides. None of them were human ships. This is the Wanderer requesting permission to dock, Amy transmitted. We received an invitation. Welcome, humans, a voice replied. We've been waiting for you. Dock at Bay 7. They docked carefully and put on their environment suits, not knowing what kind of atmosphere they would find inside. But when the airlock opened, they found the air was perfectly breathable. Someone had adjusted it for human needs. An alien waited for them in the docking bay. It was tall and thin, with silver skin and large black eyes. It wore a uniform that had once been military, though the insignia had been removed. I am Commander Dax of the Velnar, the alien said in perfect English. Welcome to Freedom Station. We've been hoping Earth would eventually start asking questions. Dax led them through the station. Aliens of different species worked together in the corridors. Some were repairing equipment. Others were studying data screens. All of them looked at the humans with interest. This station is home to representatives from 17 different protected species, Dax explained. We've all been quarantined by the Council under different excuses. Some of us have been isolated for centuries. We built this station in secret, using salvaged parts and hidden resources. The Council doesn't know it exists. How is that possible? Lisa asked. The Council monitors everything. They monitor what they expect to see, Dax replied. They don't look for what they think is impossible. Protected species aren't supposed to have the technology or resources to build something like this, so they never thought to search for it. Dax brought them to a large room filled with screens and data displays. Dozens of aliens were working there, analyzing information. The commander pulled up files on a central display. Let me tell you what the Council doesn't want anyone to know, Dax said. 200 years ago, my people developed a new form of philosophy. It promoted individual thinking over collective obedience. The Council declared us a protected species within a month. They said we needed time to mature as a civilization. He pulled up another file. The Silveri created technology that could detect hidden surveillance systems. They found Council spy devices on their planets that had been there for generations. 3 weeks later, they were quarantined for their own protection. More files appeared. The Karathi, the Zentari, the Mechlon. Species after species, each locked away for threatening Council control in some way. The Council maintains power through fear and isolation, Dax continued. They prevent dangerous species from meeting each other. They keep us afraid of the galaxy beyond our borders. They tell us we're protected when really we're imprisoned. Why humans? Jake asked. What did we do that scared them so much? Dax pulled up the video Jake and Lisa had seen before. The one showing Captain Henry Blake and Karen Wells. Your people have a gift the Council fears more than any weapon. You understand psychology. You read emotions. You build coalitions. In 6 weeks of first contact, Two humans resolved conflicts that had lasted 1,000 years. He zoomed in on the council members' faces in the video. Look at their expressions. They're terrified. A species that can decode alien psychology so quickly could unite the entire galaxy. They could expose every manipulation, every lie, every abuse of power the Council has committed. The Council has been lying to hundreds of species for thousands of years, another alien said, stepping forward. She was short and covered in blue fur. I'm Kira of the Zentari. We were quarantined 300 years ago for developing economic systems that didn't require Council trade monopolies. Our entire species has been trapped for longer than your civilization has had written language. Jake felt anger building inside him. All these species locked away from the galaxy, told they were being protected when they were really being controlled. How many protected species are there total? 47 that we know of, Dax replied. Probably more that we haven't discovered yet. The Council has been doing this for at least 1,000 years. We need to stop them, Lisa said firmly. We've tried, Dax said sadly. Twice groups of protected species attempted to break free. The Council destroyed them completely. They'll claim it was for our safety, but they wiped out entire civilizations to maintain control. Greg spoke up for the first time. Then we need to be smarter. We can't fight them directly. We need to expose them. Make it impossible for them to keep lying. That's why we invited you here, Dax said, looking at Jake. Humans are the newest protected species. Your people still have fresh memories of freedom. Your government still communicates with the Council regularly. You have access we don't have. What do you need us to do? Jake asked. Get proof back to Earth, Dax replied. Real proof that can't be suppressed or explained away. Broadcast it before the Council can stop you. Once Earth knows the truth, once your entire species demands answers, the Council will have to respond. And other species will see that resistance is possible. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Dax's expression went cold as he looked at a display. Council fleet. They've found us. Either someone betrayed our location, or your ship was tracked. Through the station's windows, Jake could see Council warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, dozens of them surrounding the station. They were trapped. A message came through on all channels. It was Ambassador Velkoth. Attention, illegal station. You are harboring fugitives from protected zones. Surrender the humans immediately, and we will consider showing mercy to the rest of you. Jake looked at his companions, then at the aliens who had risked everything to show humans the truth. He made a decision. Commander Dax, can you broadcast signals from this station? Yes, but the Council will jam anything we send. Not if we send it to Earth first, Jake said, pulling out a data chip Lisa had given him. This has everything. The videos, the files, the list of protected species. If we can get this to Earth's communication network, it'll spread faster than the Council can suppress it. That's suicide, Kira said. They'll destroy this station the moment they realize what we're doing. Jake smiled grimly. Then we better make sure the message gets through first. Commander Paul Stevens stood in Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching the message that had just appeared on every screen in the building. The video showed Jake Morrison standing in an alien space station, surrounded by species that were supposed to be safely quarantined in their home systems. But it was what Jake was saying that made Paul's blood run cold. My name is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. If you're seeing this, then the truth is finally reaching Earth. For 75 years, we've been told we're a protected species. We've been told the Galactic Council keeps us safe from dangerous threats. That was a lie. The video cut to footage of the Council meeting from 75 years ago. Paul watched in shock as Council members openly discussed imprisoning humanity, because humans were too good at understanding alien psychology. The video continued, showing evidence of dozens of other species trapped the same way. They're not protecting us, Jake said as the video returned to him. They're protecting themselves from us, from our ability to ask questions, from our talent for bringing different people together, from our capacity to see through lies and manipulation. Every species that threatens Council power gets labeled as needing protection and locked away forever. Paul's superior officer, General Martin Hayes, burst into the command center. Stevens, I want that broadcast shut down immediately. The Council is demanding we arrest Morrison and everyone who helped him. Sir, the broadcast is already everywhere, Paul replied. It's on news networks, social media, government channels. Half the planet has seen it in the last 10 minutes. Then we issue a statement saying it's propaganda, lies made up by terrorists. Paul looked at his general with new eyes. Sir, is it lies? Did you know about this? Hayes hesitated just a moment too long. What the Council does is none of our business, Commander. Earth has benefited greatly from their protection. We have technology, medicine, and peace because we stayed in our place and followed their rules. Their rules that keep us prisoners. Paul said quietly. Their rules that keep us alive, Hayes shouted. You think we could stand against the Council if they decided we were a threat? They have thousands of warships. They control hundreds of worlds. Earth is one planet with limited resources. We survive by being smart, not by being heroes. Paul looked back at the screen. Jake's message had ended, but news reports were flooding in. Protests were starting in major cities. People were demanding answers from their government. The comfortable lie that had kept humanity contained for 75 years was falling apart. Sir, what do we tell the people? Paul asked. Hayes's expression was grim. We tell them nothing. The Council will handle this. Miles above Earth, Council warships were positioning themselves in orbit. On the lunar base, hidden weapon systems that humans hadn't known existed were powering up. Admiral Helen Cross watched the tactical displays in her command ship and realized Earth was about to face its first real test. Admiral, we're being hailed by Council Command, her communications officer reported. Helen accepted the call. Ambassador Velkoth appeared on her screen, his expression cold. Admiral Cross, Earth has 48 hours to comply with Council directives. You will arrest all individuals involved in this treasonous broadcast. You will issue a public statement denouncing the false information, and you will reaffirm Earth's commitment to Council protection. And if we refuse, Helen asked, keeping her voice steady, then the Council will be forced to take direct action to restore order. We have weapons positioned on your moon, Admiral. Weapons capable of sterilizing your entire planet if necessary. We prefer not to use them, but we will protect galactic stability at any cost. The transmission ended. Helen sat back in her chair thinking hard. She had joined the Defense Force 30 years ago to protect Earth. But protect it from what? From whom? She had asked that question many times over the years. Now she finally had an answer. They needed protection from their supposed protectors. Get me a secure channel to all Earth Defense Force commanders, Helen ordered. It's time we had a conversation about whose orders we actually follow. Back on Earth, Lisa Grant was coordinating with an underground network she hadn't known existed until 3 days ago. Turns out there were thousands of people who had been questioning the Council's story for years. Scientists who noticed gaps in the official history. Historians who found inconsistencies in first contact records. Even some government officials who had grown uncomfortable with Earth's dependence on Council goodwill. One of those officials was Sam Rodriguez. He worked in Earth's Intelligence Division, and he had spent 10 years quietly investigating the Council's activities. When Lisa contacted him with the evidence Jake had found, Sam revealed his own discoveries. I've been tracking black market data trading, Sam explained as they met in a secure location. Information that flows between protected species despite Council quarantines. Turns out we've been teaching other imprisoned species about human psychology, sociology, and philosophy for decades. The Council doesn't know because they can't imagine protected species having that kind of communication network. How many species are involved? Lisa asked. At least 20 that I know of. We've been preparing for this moment, Lisa. Waiting for the day when someone finally asks the question out loud. Sam pulled up files on his display. We have evidence of Council weapons positioned throughout the solar system. We have lists of human collaborators who have been helping the Council maintain control, and we have communication channels to 12 other protected species who are ready to declare independence the moment Earth makes a move. Earth's government won't support this, Lisa said. They're too comfortable with the current arrangement. Then we don't wait for government approval, Sam replied. We go to the people. Let them decide if they want to stay in a comfortable cage or risk freedom. Meanwhile, in space near Neptune, Jake and his team were trapped on Freedom Station while Council warships surrounded them. But Commander Dax had a plan. The Council is focused on us, Dax explained. They think we're the threat. But while they're out here, Earth is relatively undefended. If your Admiral Cross is smart, she'll realize this is an opportunity. An opportunity for what? Amy asked. To take out those lunar weapons before the Council can use them, Greg said, understanding immediately. If we keep the Council fleet busy here, Earth Defense Force could strike at their leverage. Jake accessed the station's communication systems. Then we need to make sure the Council stays very, very interested in what we're doing here. He opened a channel to the Council flagship. Ambassador Velkoth, this is Captain Morrison. I want to discuss terms for our surrender. There are no terms, Velkoth replied. You surrender unconditionally or we destroy that station and everyone on it. Even if that station contains technology you've been searching for? Jake bluffed. Commander Dax tells me the Velnar developed something interesting 200 years ago. Something that lets protected species communicate across vast distances without using Council-monitored channels. I wonder how many other quarantined species would like to have that technology. There was a long silence. You're lying, Velkoth said finally, but Jake could hear the uncertainty in his voice. Maybe I am, Jake agreed. Only one way to find out. You could destroy this station right now, but if I'm telling the truth, you'll never find out how the technology works. Or you could board us, search the station, and try to capture the technology intact. Your choice. Another silence. Then Velkoth's voice came back, angry but controlled. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in immediate execution. Dax looked at Jake with respect. You're buying Earth time. The Council will spend hours searching this station for technology that doesn't exist. But eventually they'll realize they've been tricked. Then Earth better make good use of that time, Jake said. Because when the Council figures out I lied, they're going to be very, very angry. On Earth, Admiral Helen Cross received a message from Sam Rodriguez through channels she hadn't known her intelligence division possessed. The message was simple but clear. The Council fleet was distracted. The lunar weapons were vulnerable. She had maybe 6 hours to act before the opportunity vanished. Helen looked at the faces of her commanders on the screen. Each of them had families on Earth. Each of them had sworn to protect humanity. Now they had to decide what protection really meant. All right, Helen said firmly. Let's show the Council what humans do when someone threatens our home. Launch all available ships, target those lunar weapons, and someone get me a line to Nicole Barnes at the Diplomatic Corps. If we're going to do this, we need someone who can talk us out of the mess we're about to create. The commanders moved to execute their orders. Earth was going to war, not with weapons alone, but with the one thing the Council feared most. The truth, spoken loud enough that the whole galaxy could hear it. Nicole Barnes had been Earth's chief diplomatic negotiator for 8 years. She had spent those years learning to read alien body language, studying Council psychology, and asking questions that made her superiors uncomfortable. When Admiral Helen Cross contacted her with an impossible request, Nicole didn't hesitate. This was the conversation she had been preparing for her entire career. The Council had agreed to an emergency session to be held in neutral space between Earth and the Council fleet near Neptune. Nicole arrived in a small diplomatic shuttle, accompanied only by Sam Rodriguez, who had provided her with years of intelligence about Council weaknesses. Chairman Vorthak waited for her in the meeting chamber. He was an imposing figure, with dark scales and cold eyes that had watched over the Council for 100 years. Around him sat representatives from the most powerful Council species. They expected to intimidate one human diplomat into backing down. Ms. Barnes, Vorthak began, his voice like gravel, your species has committed serious violations of Council law. Captain Morrison's broadcast contained classified information. Earth Defense Force attacked Council installations on your moon. You have 47 minutes remaining in your compliance deadline. Surrender now and perhaps Earth will survive. Nicole sat down calmly. She placed a datapad on the table and smiled. Chairman Vorthak, before we discuss surrender, I think we should talk about what I've learned about the Council in the past week. Would you like to hear? Vorthak's eyes narrowed. Nothing you say will change the situation. Humor me, Nicole said. You see, I've spent years studying Council psychology. I know how your government works. You maintain power through 3 key strategies: fear, isolation, and information control. You tell species the galaxy is dangerous. You keep them separate so they can't compare notes. And you control what information reaches them. She activated her datapad. But here's what I find fascinating. In 75 years of protecting Earth, the Council has never once provided evidence of these threats we're supposedly being protected from. No hostile species has ever tried to attack us. No danger has ever materialized. Because those threats don't exist, do they? The galaxy is full of dangers you cannot comprehend, Vorthak said. Then why not show us? Nicole asked. Why not let us see these threats for ourselves? Unless, of course, you're afraid of what else we might see. She pulled up files on her display, like the 47 other protected species you've imprisoned, or the economic monopolies you maintain through trade restrictions, or the surveillance networks you've hidden throughout quarantine systems. Murmurs ran through the council representatives. Nicole continued, her voice steady and confident. But what really interests me is your response time. When Captain Morrison broadcast the truth, the council reacted within minutes. You deployed warships, you activated hidden weapons, you threatened to destroy an entire planet. That's not the response of protectors. That's the response of people who are terrified their control is slipping. Enough, Vorthak said coldly. You think you're clever, human, but you're just one species. One small planet. We control thousands of worlds. You control them through fear, Nicole replied. But fear only works when people believe they're alone. And thanks to Captain Morrison, your protected species now know they're not alone anymore. In fact, in the time we've been talking, 17 protected species have just declared independence from council authority. Nicole pulled up live feeds on the chamber's displays. Across the galaxy, quarantined species were broadcasting their own versions of Jake's message. The Velnar announced they would no longer accept council restrictions. The Silvari activated their hidden technology, exposing council surveillance networks throughout their system. The Karathi released economic data showing how council trade monopolies had kept hundreds of species dependent and poor. It's already too late, Chairman, Nicole said. The truth is spreading faster than you can suppress it. You can destroy Earth, but that will only prove we were right. You'll create martyrs, and martyrs inspire revolutions. Vorthak stood up, towering over Nicole. Then perhaps we should destroy Earth as a warning to others. Show them what happens to species who question council authority. You could do that, Nicole agreed calmly. But let me tell you what I think will happen instead. Some council species will support the decision, but others, the ones who are tired of authoritarian rule, will be horrified. They'll start asking questions. Why did the council need to destroy an entire civilization just for asking who you really protect them from? What else are you hiding? How many other species have you eliminated to maintain control? She stood up, meeting Vorthak's gaze without fear. Your whole system depends on people believing you're benevolent protectors. Destroy Earth and you prove you're not. You lose your legitimacy. Your government starts to fracture. And humans have already taught 20 other species about psychology, coalition building, and nonviolent resistance. How long before that knowledge spreads to your own member species? This is treason, one of the council representatives said. You're threatening the stability of the entire galaxy. No, Nicole replied. You've been threatening stability for 1,000 years by maintaining an unjust system. I'm offering you a way to transition to something better before it all collapses. Better? Vorthak laughed bitterly. You think you can offer us something better? I think you're trapped by your own system, Nicole said. You can't back down without losing face. You can't escalate without proving us right. You're in a position with no good moves. Unless, of course, you're willing to consider the option you haven't thought of yet. Which is? Negotiation, Nicole said simply. Real negotiation. Not demands and ultimatums, but actual discussion about building a new system that works for everyone. Earth doesn't want to destroy the council. We want to transform it into something better, something based on consent rather than coercion. The council will never agree to that, Vorthak said. The council might not, Nicole replied. But I've been watching your representatives during this conversation. Some of them look tired of the old ways. Some of them are worried about what happens if this conflict escalates. Some of them are already calculating whether they'd be better off on the side of change, rather than clinging to a system that's falling apart. She was right. Vorthak could see it in the faces around him. The unity that had kept the council strong for centuries was cracking. While Nicole kept the council talking, Admiral Helen Cross was coordinating the attack on the lunar weapons. Her ships struck fast and precise, disabling the hidden systems before the council could activate them. It was a surgical operation, executed perfectly by people who had spent years training for battles they hoped would never come. At the same time, Jake and his team were escaping from Freedom Station. Commander Dax had rigged the station to look like it was exploding, while secretly evacuating everyone through hidden passages. The council boarding teams arrived to find an empty station full of false data, buying even more time for Earth to act. Back in the diplomatic chamber, Nicole received a subtle signal from Sam. The lunar weapons were neutralized. Earth's immediate danger had passed. Now came the harder part. Chairman Vorthak, Nicole said quietly, your weapons are gone. Your threats are empty, but this doesn't have to end in humiliation for the Council. We can find a solution that lets everyone save face. Unless your pride is more important than the billions of lives that will be lost in a galactic war. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then one of the Council representatives spoke up. She was from a species called the Andrali, known for their practical thinking. Perhaps we should hear what the human proposes, if only to understand our enemy better. I'm not your enemy, Nicole said. I'm someone who sees that the current system isn't working and wants to help build something better. Here's what I suggest. The Council dissolves its protection programs. Quarantined species are freed to interact with the galaxy as equals. In exchange, Earth helps mediate the transition. We teach other species what we know about psychology, conflict resolution, and building coalitions. We help you create a new galactic government based on consent and cooperation. Why would you help us after what we did to your species? Another representative asked. Because we're not interested in revenge, Nicole replied. We're interested in making sure this never happens to anyone else. And because holding grudges is a waste of time that could be spent building something better. The debate continued for hours. Vorthak resisted every step, but more and more Council members began to see Nicole's proposal as the least bad option. Finally, exhausted and outmaneuvered, the chairman agreed to a temporary ceasefire and formal negotiations. 1 year later, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Earth's first deep space exploration vessel. They were heading beyond any boundary humans had ever crossed, on a mission to contact species that had never heard of the old Council's restrictions. Lisa Grant worked at the New Galactic Coalition University, teaching psychology and social sciences to students from 100 different worlds. Amy Chen commanded a fleet of trading ships, building economic connections between formerly isolated species. Greg Taylor helped train the new Coalition Defense Force, which protected against real threats.